Alright everybody, so I grew up my cherry top. I have roughly 10 inches by 10 inches. And then I drew my first lines of where I'm going to cut it with the bandsaw to add the strips in to start turning it into a weaving tabletop. Alright, so I just cut all my pieces on the bandsaw. I made obviously 3 cuts. And then I'll cut the strips in, put it between all the pieces. And then gluing up with the strips inside to start making it weaved. And that'll be the first round. Alright, just cut my first 3 strips on the table saw. Going about, whoops, sorry about that, there you go. You know, just under an eighth, about 30 seconds of an inch. Now I'm going to glue them in, clamp them, and have the first round done. Okay, so first round of gluing's done. I got the strips in, got them clamped down. Make sure you have bottom clamps and top clamps to counteract the forces. If you have to, take a mallet and smack it down at the ends, the corners of the clamps, to make it nice and tight and flat. Check underneath. Make sure, you know, it's nice and flat against those clamps. Let it dry for 24 hours, and then we'll start making more cuts. Alright, so I added 1 walnut strip. I cut it the same way, just cut those 2 parts. Put the walnut strip in, glued it, scraped it with a glue scraper to clean it up. Add a little accent. Now I decide if I want to add a few more walnuts, or I might try go across the grain and see what that looks like. So I just have to make my decision. Okay, so I decided to go across the grain, and we're going to see how that goes with the strips with this way face grain versus the end grain. But I cut it in 4 different sections, so I'm going to add a couple more walnuts and then 1 more maple, and I'll show you when that's all glued up. Alright, so I added 2 walnuts and an extra maple. Going with the end grains, it's always risky doing that, but they all seem to glue pretty well. So now I need to rip the top down the middle for each half of the table, and I'll show you that when it's done. Tabletop is ripped in half, ready for the planer. I did notice, you know, when I put them together, which I knew that was going to happen, they're going to be off a little bit, but when I put the tabletop on the legs, you know, might be able to, you know, blend it in a little bit. Might put a little pinstripe on both edges of each piece, sort of to break it up that as well, but it's ready for the planer. The top is planed. Again, you can see the offsets from having to cut it with the table saw, then I jointed it. But if you could, you know, I might shift them a little bit when I go to put together the whole thing, or put those little strips of maple in there and glue them up so there's a nice clean line going across. But there they are, tops are planed. Part 1 pretty much is complete. Off to part 2 of cutting out the legs and the supports and the braces, and then getting the table put together. So hope you keep an eye out for part 2 coming up. Thanks.